Welcome to the Canadian Expat Tax Tuesday. As a Canadian living abroad, what are your tax obligations in Canada? The question can be extremely complex. In this series, every Tuesday night, we take questions that subscribers to the Canadian Expat have asked and present them to the tax professionals of Trowbridge. And once again, a warm welcome to Ernie Nagratha, one of the partners with Trowbridge. Ernie, welcome back for another week of Expat Tax Tuesday.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks for having me.
Hope you're doing well.
Doing very well. Thank you.
Fantastic. Let's jump right into this week. I have a TFSA and an RRSP in Canada. Am I breaking any rules?
Great question. Okay, so TFSA first. No issue with you having a TFSA in Canada. Only issue is if you're a non-resident of Canada, you cannot contribute to the TFSA. Otherwise, there would be a 1% per month penalty. So if you can imagine over 12 months, that's a 12% penalty compounded if you contribute as a non-resident based on that amount of contribution. So as an example, if you contribute $5,000 to the TFSA 1 month after you become a non-resident, there's a 1% per month penalty for as long as that TFSA is over-contributed, or in essence, contributed by a non-resident. If you were to contribute prior to becoming a non-resident, so let's say 1 month prior to becoming a non-resident, and just to top it up, there's no penalty whatsoever. It can continue to grow on a tax-deferred basis, even while you're a non-resident, not an issue. One issue to be aware of, though, is to ensure that the country that you're in acknowledges the TFSA as a tax-deferred structure. Generally speaking, they would not, because the TFSA is not a special structure in any manner. It's just a structure that's been denominated by Canada as being tax-free, but most other jurisdictions would just see it as a regular investment account. So be aware that if you're in a country that taxes worldwide income, they probably will tax the TFSA. And depending on the tax rate, you need to make a decision with your tax advisor as to whether or not you should even maintain the TFSA as a non-resident. Now, a couple other items. As a non-resident, you won't accumulate a new TFSA room. And for the years that you're a non-resident, that would not accumulate. However, any previous years would still be there for you. So any partial year or full year that you're a resident of Canada, you would accumulate new TFSA room. So something to keep aware of.
And what about RRSPs?
Now, RSPs, similar but not the same story. You can contribute to an RSP at any point if you've got earned income or room, in the RSP. It usually makes sense, not always, but sometimes it makes sense to contribute in the year that you become a non-resident if you've got Canadian source income that you can offset or take a deduction against. However, if you've got carry forward room that you have not been able to use, and you don't have any Canadian source income to offset it against, let's assume you're a non-resident and you've got that room available, it might make sense to wait till you return to then make that contribution. So again, would make sense to have a conversation with your tax advisor to see whether you should use that room before you depart, while you're away, or when you return. But definitely, unless you've got earned income, you're not accumulating new room. It's really just any carry forward room that you have, but there's no restrictions in doing the contribution.
Very good. Would I be correct in assuming that you wouldn't be able to start a new TFSA or a new RRSP if you're abroad?
That's fair to say, unless you've got Canadian source income. So I'll give you an example. We've got clients that will come to Canada, perform as non-residents, perform a service for a period of time, and then depart. Technically, they've generated RSP contribution room and they could contribute. So we've seen people do that. or if they've got carry forward room from previous years when they were residents, they could offset some or all of that income with that carry forward room. So something to get some advice on before you decide to make the contribution.
So the next question lies in the realm of real estate. If I live in the UK and I'm selling my condo, that's the condo in Canada, how does that affect my tax status in Canada?
Okay, good question. Now, it won't affect your status from a residency perspective, so that's good. But you will have filing obligations. There's quite a number of things that would need to be done, but let me highlight some of the key things. The very first thing is you would have to inform your lawyer that you're a non-resident, because they have to file a special certificate called a Section 116 certificate, and they would work with your accountant on that. So that's very important that that's filed before or around the time of sale of your property within the 10-day window following the closing date. Otherwise, there's a very steep penalty for non-compliance. The second item is you would have to file a non-resident Canadian return to report the capital gain or loss on the property. And if there's any withholding tax as a result of the clearance certificate, then that would be applied against any tax on the tax return. So it's important that that procedure is administered. The third important item is to ensure that any filing obligations are met in the country of your residence. So if, let's say in the UK, there's a requirement for you to report on the disposition of the Canadian property, then you would do so, and you would claim a foreign tax credit for any Canadian taxes paid, if any. So kind of three major things. One, the clearance certificate. Two, the sale of property return in Canada. And three, the reporting of the capital gain or loss in the country that you live in.
Perfect. Once again, Ernie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Alan. Thanks for having me.
This is an ongoing project. For future videos, please feel free to submit your questions to us and Trowbridge by leaving a comment below. If you've submitted a question that was not answered here, there's probably a reason for that and most likely requires a full consultation. A link to Trowbridge's website is in the description, so please contact them directly. They'd love to assist. Once again, to make sure that you know when we upload a new video, hit the subscribe button and the little bell so that you get notifications. It will benefit the channel and ensure that we're able to continue doing this if you hit the like button. Thanks for watching.